These are notes for lesson 6-7. I know I told you we would finish lesson 6 today, but I forgot I wasn't going to be there. So these are simpler than lesson 6-6b, so we're going to do these instead today. So we're solving radical equations. For most of these problems, you're going to want to check your answers. Not as in redo the entire problem, but just to verify that your answer that you plug in doesn't get you a negative under a square root. We're looking for real answers, not imaginary answers, so the number under the square root must be positive. So let's start with number 1. It's about as simple as they get. The square root of x equals 5. To get rid of a square root, we square both sides of the problem. The square and the square root will cancel, and you end up with x equals 5 squared, otherwise known as 25. And that one's done. So let's try number 2. The square root of y plus 1 minus 2 equals 3. So our first goal is to get the square root all by itself. To do that, we're going to add the 2. So now we have the square root of y plus 1 equals 5. Again, to get rid of a square root, we square both sides of the math problem. Five squared is still 25. But now we have that y plus 1 equals 25. So, to solve for y, you're going to have to subtract the 1. And we get that y equals 24. Not too bad. So let's try number 3. It has a trick, so don't get too far ahead. So for number 3, we start with the square root of x, then a plus 5 equals 2. Again, our first step is to get that square root by itself. So we're going to subtract 5. And now you just stop and look at the problem. It has the square root of x equals negative 3. Can a square root equal a negative number? Hopefully you're thinking no, because that's the right answer. Since the square root of an x cannot equal a negative number, the answer is no solution. If you were to continue to solve this, and you did square both sides, you would get x equals 9. This is when checking your answer becomes important. If you plug 9 back into the problem, you get 3 plus 5 equals 2, which is not a true statement. 8 does not equal 2. So even if you tried to keep solving this, you would still get no solution, because when you plug it back in, you would get a false statement. I think it's easy just to go look at it and go, hey, the square root cannot be negative, and I'm done. So on page 430, it's problem 1a. Now would be a really good time to pause the video and attempt to do problem 1a all by yourself. Again, it's on page 430. So welcome back. Hopefully you got the answer. To solve this problem, we're going to get the square root by itself by adding 1 to both sides. Now we have 6 equaling the square root of x minus 2. Square both sides to get rid of the square root. Six squared is 36. And solve for x by adding 2. So x equals 38. I have one more problem that I want to do with you, and 2 more for you to do by yourself, and then we're done. So example number 4. If you think back to Friday, a 1/3 exponent means a cube root. To get rid of a square root, we squared both sides. To get rid of the cube root, we're going to cube both sides. So, starts out the same way. The goal is to get the root by itself. The root is the parentheses with the exponent. So let's add 4. We're also going to divide by 2. So now we have the cube root. X minus 1 to the 1/3 again is a cube root all by itself. To get rid of the cube root, we cube both sides. The exponents cancel. You're left with x minus 1 equals 2 cubed. Don't forget that 2 cubed is 8. Add 1 to both sides. And get that x equals 9. So now I have 2 problems that I want you to try on your own. Page 430. There is a problem 2a. Don't forget, negative roots are only an issue when you have a even root. And then on page 431 is a problem 3. So again, try both of these. You can pause the video if you'd like. And when you have them done, come back and we'll go over the answers. So for problem 2a, your first step is to subtract the 1. A negative 1 is okay this time because it's the cube root. It's an odd root. Odd roots are allowed to equal negative numbers. So we cube both sides. The cube and the cube root cancel. So 3n plus 2 equals whatever negative 1 to the 3rd is. Negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. To solve for n, you subtract the 2. And finally, divide by 3. Final answer, n equals -1. So let's try problem 3. Again, we're going to start by getting the root by itself, add the 12. Divide by 4. So this one is a fourth root. It is something to be 1/4, which means the fourth root. To get rid of a fourth root, we're going to use a fourth power. So 3x plus 6 equals 3 to the 4th, which is 81. Solve for x by subtracting the 6. Don't forget to divide by 3. And we get that x equals 25. Which, since the problem was multiple choice, is letter G. So your homework is found on page 432. Do all of numbers 1 through 12. Also do 14. And then problems 37 through 49 are odds. And that should be that.